3 years ago, I was extremely overweight, and I know if I didn't change my habits now, I would have a very rough future ahead of me down the road. What's up, YouTube? Second video on the channel. Today I wanted to talk about my transformation story, followed by an insane leg day later in today. And towards the end of the video, I want to get into like where I'm at now, what my goals are in the next future, which I will make a better video on explaining exactly what I'm doing for those goals. But that'll be later in the video after we hit the gym. So for now, let's talk about how I went from 380 pounds to 220 pounds. My transformation so far has been a hell of a journey, and it all started with just a little bit of motivation and two of my best friends that gave me the confidence to pursue my goals and actually go to the gym. So in middle school, I had played a bunch of sports. I was playing football, basketball, baseball, all the normal sports. I was a pretty active kid. Like I was constantly going to church on the weekends and on Wednesdays, playing volleyball, outside. But everything changed when I got to high school. In high school, I was going through a lot of personal and family struggles. I also had quit all of my sports, and my excuse was to focus on band because I was also a band kid. So I had quit playing football, basketball, baseball. I had kind of quit being an active kid and just got used to practicing music all the time because that was my escape for all my problems at that time, was just music. So sitting down, playing guitar and sitting and playing drums all day, you're not burning that many calories versus when you're actually outside playing sports or playing with other kids. I also had never really eaten healthy in my entire life. I'm sure many of you can relate to having the best grandparents in the world that'll give you everything, and they think they're doing the best for you by giving you like a 12 pack of honey buns, which is like my personal favorite little Debbie cake, but like that shit ruined my metabolism. Nevertheless, so I am thankful because I had the best grandparents in the entire world, and they're still the best grandparents in the entire world. So, but on top of never eating healthy, when I quit being active, it just piled on fat, along with like being depressed. And also the genetics in my family are not that good. Like my father's side is all heart disease. My mom's side is all thyroid and hormone problems. And a lot of that has affected me, not so much the heart problems, but like the hormonal side. So pretty much in high school, I was just caking on the fat like it was like nobody's business. Like it was so easy for me to gain weight because I was eating like shit. I wasn't active. A little bit of genetics mixed in, just, bad combination for being overweight, being obese. So the main struggle for me was realizing that I knew I had to change because I was watching family members who were overweight, because it runs in my family. I was watching them go through a lot of struggles, and I definitely didn't want to live like that when I was in my 30s or 40s. So I knew that I had to make something happen to change. And the biggest hurdle was the learning curve, like trying to watch videos on how to learn how to lose weight, learn the diet, learn how to lift, all of these exercises. It was so hard for me, and I was also very self-conscious about actually going to the gym and working out. I used to wait for my mom and my sister, who I was living with at the time, to actually leave the house, and I would do push-ups in the dark, sit-ups. I would actually go run in the neighborhood once they left because I was like very self-conscious to let them watch me exercise. I didn't want anybody to watch me exercise. I couldn't handle it at all. I was just like super duper insecure about all of that. I kept on pushing off taking action and losing weight because I didn't know exactly what to do, and I wasn't confident enough to try anything, unfortunately. That all changed when I got a job at McAllister's my senior year of high school. I worked at a McAllister's in Bristol, Virginia, but there was a gym right behind McAllister's called Anytime Fitness 24/7. I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably gone to those. They're pretty good gyms depending on who the owner is. Both of my best friends had been going to the gym for about 2 years, and they continued to play sports in high school, so they had more exercise experience when it came to actually training the body. But I started going to the gym with them. I didn't even have a membership. I was just bumming off their membership because all the staff would leave at like 6 to 8 p.m. and we would go at like 10 o'clock because I would get off work at like 9:30. Sometimes I would get off right at 10. They would pull in at 10. I would have some gym clothes, some like shorts and a shirt and some tennis shoes. I would change out of my work stuff. I would smell like potatoes and chicken and bread because all I did was just make potatoes, slice chicken, and make sandwiches. So I smelled like a freaking restaurant going in there. Anyways, I would change into my gym clothes. We would hit the gym for what started out as 30 to 45 minutes, and I would leave a little bit earlier than they did because I honestly didn't want to be there. Like I hated putting in the effort. I remember I used to like fake sets and reps and not do them, but just every time they would look at me, I would just act like I was struggling hard and working towards it. Like I wanted to change, but like it was hard to put that much effort into something at that point because I just wanted to put it off and wait. Luckily, somehow between having them to guide me and the universe above just keeping me in momentum to keep on going and going and going, I stayed consistent. I learned more. I started going up in weight relatively fast with my newbie gains, even though I wasn't putting on that much muscle. Or at that time when I started going to the gym, I was like 340 because I had lost some weight from the previous marching band season, but I wasn't seeing like the weight loss that I wanted to see because there was one thing that I did not have correct, even though I was going to the gym. And that one thing was my diet. So the biggest turning point at this point, after I had been going to Anytime Fitness for about a couple of months, was my diet. So once I started changing the types of foods and the types of drinks that I was ingesting in my body, that's when I started to notice the most fat loss in that beginning stage, because I was up in that like 30 to 40% body fat. So I started drinking diet sodas, started drinking a lot more water. I wasn't tracking calories or tracking protein yet because I didn't even know what that was at that point. I had no incentive or reason to track calories at that point. I just know that in my head, like if I changed to healthier whole foods and stopped eating as much food, I would obviously lose fat, right? And thankfully, my best friends told me like when to eat protein and when to have some good carbs. I would eat the occasional Rice Krispie at that point in my life before the gym. They told me it was fast-acting carbs, and I was like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna fucking down a Rice Krispie because I'm fat as shit and I love Rice Krispies. But that was the first turning point, was just switching the types of foods and the types of drinks I was eating, eliminating sugar, and just mentally knowing I was eating less than I had before. So right around the point when I was hitting about 280, 275 pounds, we had started going to Planet Fitness. And I had graduated high school at this point, and I was like, well, I've lost a significant amount of weight. I've lost about 100 pounds. So I'm just gonna kind of stay where I'm at. And at this point, this is when I started tracking calories. So I learned what maintenance calories were. I learned what a protein goal was. I learned how to actually eat carbohydrates correctly. And that was another big turning point that led to my strength going up. I actually learned all this because that is the time in my life when I started consuming fitness content, and that is when I fell in love with fitness content. And I kind of stayed around 275 for a couple of months for like my first semester of college. And then after that first semester, I learned what winter arc is. I know a lot of people were trying to bulk on those winter arcs, but it kind of turned into a very unhealthy obsession with cutting weight. At that point, I kind of started neglecting carbohydrates. I started only eating protein and a little bit of fats, and this led to my crash dieting phase. So in my crash dieting phase, I pretty much plateaued at around 250 to 260 pounds of body weight, and it took me an entire summer to get over that, from like May to August. I just stayed there. I was also working construction, and I started to relapse on eating bad foods again. So like it was easy working construction for my grandfather to go to Little Caesars across the street from a construction site, eat a Little Caesars pizza or get McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever is close. So on top of a bad diet and then previously crash dieting. And I think I went off the path with that because I got so addicted to watching the numbers drop on the scale. I couldn't live with myself eating carbohydrates because I was like, well, carbs are a main source of energy and I have a lot of fat on my body still. So why would I eat energy when I could burn this energy? But I didn't really know that's not how that worked at that point. I knew I needed carbs to lift weights, but I was like, what if I just didn't eat carbs? What if I just didn't eat as much fats and I only ate protein? I still would only eat a Rice Krispie before the gym, and that was the only carbs I would have for the day. What got me past that plateau was actually learning that you need to have a break from dieting. After working construction and eating unhealthy foods, I decided to move my diet back to whole foods again, hitting my protein goals, counting my calories, and I decided for a whole month and a half that I was gonna like stay at maintenance and just kind of main gain. I lost a little bit of weight actually because I was eating fewer calories, because you can eat more whole foods and eat less calories because they're less calorie dense. So when I got down to like 230 pounds, I was kind of disappointed the fact that I didn't have that much muscle. Like I was just kind of skinny fat at that point. And that was the next struggle, was getting past the skinny fat phase. But after my skinny fat phase, I graduated community college, had kind of rebuilt and recomped at 230 pounds. So put on a little bit of muscle, my arms got a little bigger, my belly got a little leaner, still never saw my abs though. And that leads me into my junior year of college when I moved here. I actually got super into endurance training too, for like cardio, HIIT workouts, hybrid athlete workouts, and I got to the point where I wanted to train for an Ironman. I ended up hurting my shoulder again by doing all that, so I kind of chilled out on the cardio by the time my second semester came around, but I got down to 220 pounds at that point. I had quite a bit of muscle that I noticed I had put on once I got that lean. Abs were barely showing. Like I wasn't like that muscular because all the endurance training kind of killed my gains because I wasn't prioritizing like the gym. But all of that ended up not going the way I wanted it to because of my shoulder. I also pulled a hamstring, so I had to quit running. I did that from doing RDLs in the gym. But that's pretty much how I got to 220 pounds. It was just a long journey of the learning curve. The key takeaways, honestly, were that nutrition is 80% of the game. You can train as hard as you want, but you can't out-train a poor diet. But with all that being said, that was kind of a long, sporadic little journey I've had, and it's still going. Let's just go hit a crazy leg day, and then I'll get into what my current goals are, where I'm trying to go in the next couple of months, and what you guys are going to see, which I'm pretty stoked for. But yeah, let's go hit a nasty leg day. So I actually forgot real quick, I always write my workouts out on here, usually on my rest days. So we're just gonna start out today with leg press and RDLs as the main compound movements, both for 2 sets, straight to failure. 1 set of hack squats till complete failure. And then 3 sets of the leg extensions, 3 sets of hamstring curls, 3 sets of abductors, and 3 sets of calf raises. It would kind of like this lighting. Anyways, today's pre-workout meal is going to be an alpha cookie zebra cake flavored. There's this company here in Middle Tennessee, and they make healthier, like kind of pre-workout cookies that are just filled with carbs. This in particular has 51 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fats, 9 grams of protein, 330 calories. Perfect little pre-workout snack. And of course, a banana. I'm actually gonna eat the banana first to slow down digestion because I'm probably gonna hit the gym here in about an hour. And all my stack really is today is Superhuman Burn, which is a fat loss and pre-workout put in one. Why would I waste money on these useless fat burners when you can pay the same price as normal pre-workout and get a fat burner? I don't know if it works or not, but it comes with a fat burner and of course the regular stuff that's in pre-workout. And then Raw's Creatine Plus, which has magnesium and calcium in it, which helps me with my shoulder and also just energy throughout the day. Here we are at the lovely Carbon. This gym's probably my favorite gym I've ever been to just because of the aesthetics, the vibe, which you guys will see. I don't want to film on the other side of the treadmills right now because there's a lot of people that probably don't want to be filmed right now. But this leg day, warming up, incline treadmill, and then we'll warm up the legs with some leg extensions and some hamstring curls. And I'm not going to yap too long here on the treadmill because I am going to be winded in like 5 minutes. I have to warm up the hammies with the dumbbell RDLs because hamstring curls are taking right now, which is fun. I never wait for machines the majority of the time because there's always other great options to do. So. The worst part about hitting leg day here is you've got to walk back up the stairs to get cardio done. I do have an elevator. My mom didn't raise no bitch. We're up in weight because we got 235 for 12 last time. So fuck it, I'm going up 5 pounds next week. And I get it for 12 again, 5 pounds more. So we're still progressive overloading in a cut. It's fucking crazy. I actually almost passed out in that last set. Like when I re-racked, I was like, That's how you know we're going hard. I said that I would only do one set of all-out failure to these. I mainly wrote that in because I thought I would be too tired to do two, and I am tired, but I'm gonna do 2 sets just to prove myself that my body can handle more than I think it can. And if you're not putting yourself in a position to be uncomfortable, you're not gonna grow. I might just quit being a bitch and do 4 plates, I don't know. Come on. Oh my God, that was fucking heavy. One lesson I've learned from going to the gym over the past 3 years is that if you want to build true confidence in yourself, you've got to force yourself to do things that you don't think you can do. You've got to show your mind that your body's capable of doing more. Like, I only told myself I was going to do 1 set to failure on hack squat because I didn't think I could handle more than 1 set. And I told myself I could only do 2 plates because that's usually what I do. But I'm going to sit here and say this. I had to push myself to do 4 plates, and I did 4 plates for 6, and I did 3 plates for 10, and went to absolute failure. So always be proving yourself wrong.
Red like roses, tasting of wine, eyes like the ocean, gonna make you mine. Oh.
That's a wrap on today's lift. I'm gonna do cardio later because I got some things I gotta take care of. So I'm gonna come back and do cardio later. I don't know if I'll include it in the video or not because I gotta go home, film the outro, and take care of some other stuff. But that's pretty much it for the lifting portion. Pretty good day. I've low-key been feeling like I've not been going hard enough in the gym. So today I really tried to push hard, like, and show myself I can do more, even though I'm in a calorie deficit, even though I'm cutting. Not like an egotistical way to get injured. I'm still only doing like 2 sets to failure. I'm not doing junk volume or anything. But I hope you guys can see that I put more effort into my lifts today. But other than that, let's go ahead and just get to the outro of the video, dude. All right, bang. That's it for the gym. Post-workout meal, I've got lovely meal prep. It's like a taco pasta bowl. So I've got some protein pasta, some shredded beef, corn and beans, and like some shredded peppers. And we got 240 grams strawberries. And then we've got some birthday cake protein powder. It's the Sebum Raw, like my favorite protein powder of all time. It literally tastes the best. But I'm gonna slam this meal and I'll get into what the current goals are and where we're going in the future with all this. All right, so I was gonna sit outside, but it's about to rain again and the patio is still wet from where it rained earlier. So I figured why not open the blinds, get a nice view. You can see the ring light over there. I just scoot a little bit. All right, cool. But I wanted to close out this video with where I'm going with my goals. Don't let this come off as being exactly what is gonna happen. My whole thing is just trust the process. But what I've struggled with in the past is trying to get below 18% body fat. I am 234 pounds. I started this cut at 237 pounds. So it's been 3 weeks of losing a pound per week. And that is the current goal right now, is to cut. Now, I'm going to get down to about 212 to 217, around that 15% body fat mark for me, and take a little bit of a break from the dieting. The entire point of this cut is to get down to that 10% body fat range. The reason I'm not settling for anything higher than 10% is because I want to set myself up to bulk for the first time ever in my life, because I do want to put on more muscle and more mass. And my approach to cutting in the past has been primarily driven by the ego and has been driven by the addiction to progress and the outcome, the addiction to the end result of finally being lean and not learning to enjoy the process. So I want to go over a few things that I had changed both mindset wise and physically, like what I'm doing for my body, that's going to help me reach 10% body fat and finally be able to bulk for the first time in my life. The first thing I'm doing differently is carb cycling around my training and rest days. On the days that I hit upper body, like my push pull and my upper day and my shoulders and arms, which is 4 out of the 5 days I'm lifting, I'm eating around 300 grams of carbs, and it all adds up to about 2,800 to 2,900 calories, which puts me in like a 500 to 600 calorie deficit, which is about 1 pound a week. And on the days that I hit legs, which is 1 day a week, which is on Wednesday, what you just saw, I ate around 380 grams of carbs, a little bit more fats to get my calories right back up to 3,000. And then on my rest days, I'm eating around 2,400 to 2,500 calories. I'm eating like around 130 grams of carbs, 90 grams of fats, and of course my body weight and protein around in there, which those super low calorie, low carb days occur every Thursday. And Sunday is just a little bit higher, so I have a little bit of a refeed. It's about 2,700 calories. The second thing I'm doing differently is, instead of doing fasted cardio and doing a crazy amount of high intensity cardio, I've learned that if I do low intensity steady state cardio strictly after I lift, obviously today I didn't do it directly after, I'm still going to get it in, so I'm still going to do calories in, calories out, but I find that I have a better time losing fat and staying satiated throughout the day if I do cardio as soon as I get done lifting within the same session for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I don't let my heart rate go over 140 BPM. I stay in zone 2 heart rate, which specifically targets fat loss. And the reason I try to do it directly after I lift is because after you lift, all of your glycogen is gone, all the carbs you ate before have been used up. So when all of that is emptied and the tank's empty and I've hit the reserves from all the isolation movements and I finally step on the treadmill, I'm burning fat for about 30 to 45 minutes. That's the theory. In reality, it doesn't matter when you do your cardio. But another reason why I also do it after the lift is because I can get a post-workout meal in directly when I get home from doing cardio. And then if I'm hungry while I'm doing the cardio, I'm satiated and I'm full for the evening. And that leads me into the next thing I'm doing differently. So instead of intermittent fasting and doing like 3 big meals in the day, and it just hurts my stomach, and honestly that makes me want to pass out just eating 3 big meals just from how much food I have to digest and how much food I consume because I'm a bigger guy. Eating around 5 to 7 smaller meals throughout the day has helped me increase my metabolism, stay satiated, not feel as hungry, and honestly curbs a lot of the hunger cravings that you get when you're in a calorie deficit. I feel like not doing this strategy in the past is what stopped me from not reaching my body fat goals and just overeating and crash dieting, because I would eat like 3 meals a day. I had more time to think about eating rather than actually eating. So if you just like chop up those meals in half and you eat like 6 times a day, but they're smaller meals, it's way better better on the metabolism and it's way better on the mental too. And another thing I've been doing differently is what a lot of people need to do if they're doing a little bit of a higher volume workout and they're doing it twice a week for each muscle group. I'm actually taking 2 rest days. Who would have thought rest days would have been in my program? Because before, me and my friends were taking absolutely no rest days. Like, we were in the gym every single day. Now, when I say rest day, I don't mean I'm doing nothing. I don't mean that I'm not getting my steps in. I don't mean that I'm just sitting here blabbing around playing my Xbox, my PC, or whatever. My rest days are active. I do cardio on every single one of my rest days, and I also hit my accessories. And I treat my accessory movements the same way I would any. So are we in the gym lifting weight every single day? Absolutely. Am I lifting intense compound movements 6 days a week, 7 days a week? No, we're not. So every Thursday and Sunday on my rest days, I make sure I do my cardio. And again, I do the cardio after I do my accessories. And for my accessories, I'm just hitting forearms, core, and traps. That's what works for me. A lot of people put core on their chest or their leg days. I just like hitting it on the active rest days because it keeps me active and I can do some more body weight exercises and not have to focus on like fatigue and compound lifts. And there's also one more thing I'm doing differently in this cut to ensure I'm not cutting too hard or too fast. And that's actually tracking my weights with my journal. So this lifting journal I bought actually has an entire checklist on the bottom of the amount of sleep you got, the sleep quality, the energy level you've had for the day. Did you have alcohol? Did you get your supplements? Did you meditate, journal, have mindfulness? Did you use any recovery tools? What kind of sleep tools? Did you do your mobility? And the actual like program that you're doing, you can write down the exact exercises and then your sets and reps across here. And this is what allows me to stay on track and not let my ego get in the way of wanting to lift like extremely heavier the next time, which is something I struggled with in the past. And that's why I injured my shoulder. That's why I ended up pulling a hamstring. Anytime that I add reps and it ends up being past 12 reps on like a compound movement, then that's how I know it's time to add 5 pounds on the next set or the next week if I get it on the last set. And so it just helps me prevent injury, helps me keep myself accountable, and it helps me push harder every single session because I'm just trying to beat the book. I'm just trying to beat who I was last time, and that's the most important thing. And I think it's helped me mentally grow a lot this past couple of weeks, even the past couple of months. But yeah, this is what we're looking like right now. This is the physique as you see it. Not too shabby. I'm pretty proud of myself. I've been through a lot on this fitness journey, and I'm just excited to see where it goes in the future. And I wanted to take a moment and say that I have begun my non-natural journey. My hormone health genetically is not that good. Every single person on my mom's side has a lot of hormone issues, and that causes many of them to have to take synthetic hormones to actually feel normal, have a normal thyroid, have normal emotions, to not be so depressed and cranky and angry. And I know the reason that I got so big and overweight is because I was definitely depressed and angry at the world, and I was just going through a lot and I couldn't deal with it. So I was unmotivated, didn't want to do anything, and I thought I was actually worthless. Once I started doing something about it, I noticed I started feeling better when I started going to the gym. But even though I got down to 220 pounds without being on anything and being completely natural, I still felt like something was wrong with me. I wasn't getting enough sleep, or I would want to sleep too much. I still was feeling depressed, unmotivated. And that's another reason why I also quit filming content, was because it was just taking me over. Like, I was getting back mentally where I was in high school. But I decided to take action, like last video, take action on my health. And that was a New Year's resolution, was I wanted to understand my health. And I had always had an inclination that maybe I did have low testosterone and just terrible hormones. So I went and had my blood tested for the first time. Lo and behold, my testosterone was down to 435 nanograms per deciliter on a fasted test, which for my age is pretty low. Naturally, we as men at our age are supposed to be around 650 to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. And I was like, okay, so I'm on the lower end for my age. I don't want to hop on TRT. I definitely don't want to do steroids because I don't want to ruin my health at such a young age. And I don't really know about peptides because I have some family cancers that I'm kind of unsure about. So I don't want to cause anything dormant to awaken. I went to a men's health clinic and got my blood tested again because they wanted to do it again. And it was down to 119 nanograms per deciliter, which is really low. Like, that's some of the lowest they've seen. But apparently it's really common my age for us to have that low testosterone because of the bad foods, the microplastics, you know, and the trash diet I had growing up with all the little Debbie cakes and Coca-Colas and all that fun stuff for literally 18 years of my life. Definitely didn't help at all either. I am not gonna say what I'm on, but I'm not natural, but my levels are getting back to what natural levels should be. So it's not like I'm blasting and I'm at like 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. I'm gonna try and sit around 800 to 1,000, which I think I personally deserve to have my hormones set back to where they ought to be, because I'm a man and I deserve to feel good and I deserve to be happy. And if that's something I can control, then I'm going to. But I'm definitely not on steroids. I'm not doing peptides right now. May experiment with those in the future. I'm not on TRT. I don't want to ruin my natural production. So if you know anything about performance enhancing drugs, then you know what I'm on if you can cancel those 3 out. I'm not going to say exactly what it is just because that's my business, nobody else's. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're going right now. Just cutting, trying things differently. We're getting my health right, getting the hormone health right. But don't forget, you can support me by going in the links below and following my other socials. You can go in my link tree, and with your first order on Fabletics, you can get 80% off if you go through my link. And I also have a shop in my link tree that has recovery and nutrition essentials like creatine, protein powder, shakers to put all of that in, and a bunch of other stuff. I even have creatine gummies as well if you don't want to do powder for them. So definitely, if you want to support me, go buy some of that stuff off of there. There's some new brands in there that you've probably never heard of that are really, really good. I've only done basic research on these brands. I haven't actually used them myself because you have to order them to get them. I do have like a bucked up shaker on there and like a GNC protein powder, which I have used GNC protein powder. It is pretty good. It's not as good as CBum Raw, obviously, honest review there, but it's pretty good for the price. But definitely go support me with the Fabletic and like and subscribe to the video, hit the like button. Please subscribe and share this with any other fitness friends you have. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.